Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into something I think is absolutely fascinating, the alchemy of insight. You know, how we can take all the stuff we know, all that raw data, and somehow turn it into the gold of who we are. So, let's get started.
So, let me ask you this. Doesn't it feel like we're just drowning in information these days? I mean, it's everywhere. But here's the real question. Are we actually getting any wiser? It feels like the answer should be yes, but for a lot of us, it's a big no. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Why more info doesn't just equal more wisdom, and what we can actually do about it.
Okay, so to really get started, we've got to be clear on the difference here. Think of it this way. Knowledge is all the external stuff, right? It's the facts, the figures, the things we collect in our heads. It's basically what you have. Wisdom, though, that's totally different. That's internal. It's what happens when you actually apply that knowledge and turn it into real insight, into action. It's not what you have, it's who you become. That's the huge shift we're talking about, from just knowing to truly being.
All right, so here's the roadmap for our journey today. We just talked about the whole knowing versus being wise thing. Next up, we're diving into the 3 key steps that make it all happen. Action, then reflection, and finally, mindset. And we'll wrap it all up by looking at how you can put this to work in your own life.
So let's get into it. Step 1 is all about action. And I know, it sounds super simple, but this is the bedrock of everything else. See, wisdom isn't something you build sitting in an armchair thinking deep thoughts. Nope. It's forged out there, in the real world, when we finally make that jump from knowing something to actually doing something. You can think of knowledge as just a theory, right? It's a hypothesis. Action is how you test it against reality. Okay, so how do we actually do this effectively? Well, there are 2 really powerful ways. First, you've got to put what you know into practice. I mean, really test it. So don't just read a book on leadership. Go volunteer to lead a small team project. Don't just binge watch tutorials on coding. Get in there and try to build a tiny app, even if it's super simple. And the second one? Oh, this one is a game changer. Try to teach what you know to somebody else.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? If you cannot explain it simply to someone else, you haven't yet mastered its wisdom. Because teaching forces you to boil everything down to its absolute core. It's like a spotlight that instantly shows you where all the gaps are in your own understanding. When you can explain something simply, that's when you know you've gone past just spitting back facts. You've actually internalized it. It really is the ultimate test.
Okay, so we've taken action, but now we come to the second crucial step, and it builds right on top of the first. See, action by itself isn't enough. You could do the same thing 100 times and not get one bit wiser, right? The secret sauce, the magic ingredient, is reflection. This is where you deliberately sit down and pull the lesson out of the experience. And this can't be just a casual, that was interesting kind of thing. It has to be intentional. And there are 2 big parts to it. First, reflecting deeply on your experience. And second, and this might sound a little backward at first, is analyzing your failures even more than your successes. So let's start with what deep reflection actually looks like.
Yeah, the difference here is everything. Surface-level reflection is easy. It's just, what happened? Well, the project was late. Okay, but deep reflection, man, that's where the wisdom is mined. It goes further and asks, why? Okay, why was it late? Well, because I totally underestimated how long one part would take. And why did I do that? Oh, right, because I have this tendency to be overly optimistic, and I just didn't challenge my own first guess. See the difference? It's about digging into your own internal wiring, not just looking at what happened on the outside.
And that leads us to a really important point, even if it's a tough one to swallow. Look, celebrating our wins feels great, and we should. But honestly, we learn so much more from our mistakes. When you analyze why something blew up or went wrong, it forces you to look your own flawed beliefs right in the eye. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. But that discomfort, that's where the real growth is. Those painful moments, when you really reflect on them, can end up being the source of your biggest breakthroughs.
All right, on to our final step, mindset. And this one is so important because you can take action and reflect all day long, but if you don't have the right mindset, you're going to hit a wall. Your growth will just stall out. Think of this as the foundation that everything else, the action, the reflection, is built on. So what does a wise mindset actually look like? Well, it really comes down to 2 big things. First, it's about cultivating humility and being open, being okay with being wrong and ready to learn from anyone. And second, it's about zooming out and really considering the long-term impact and ethics of what you're doing. Let's talk about humility first. There's this awesome concept from the ancient Greeks called Socratic humility. It's basically just admitting that you know very little.
And this isn't about being weak. It's actually a superpower. The moment you admit you don't have all the answers, your ego quiets down, your mind opens up, and you can suddenly listen and learn from literally everyone and everything.
Now for that second piece, perspective, or having a wider lens. This is such a critical difference. Think about it. Knowledge can be totally neutral, right? It's just a tool. You can use a hammer to build a house or to break a window. But wisdom has a direction. It always points towards the greater good. It's about using that knowledge while thinking about the ripples it's going to create, the long-term consequences. It's about aiming for something constructive.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. What have we learned? The journey from knowledge to wisdom is definitely not about just passively sucking up more facts. It's a conscious, active process. And it stands on 3 pillars. 1, taking action to test what you know. 2, reflecting deeply to figure out the real lesson. And 3, building it all on a foundation of humility and a wider perspective.
And if you take away only one thing from all of this, let it be this. Wisdom is not a destination. It's not some mountain you climb so you can plant a flag at the top and say, "I'm wise now." It doesn't work like that. It's a daily practice. It's a constant cycle of doing, thinking, and tweaking your understanding of the world and how you fit into it.
So, I'll leave you with a final question to chew on. Think about something you've learned recently. Anything at all. What is one small thing you can do, like today, to start turning that piece of knowledge into real wisdom? Because your journey, it really does start right now.